Alright guys, back at Streetcar Joe's. We decided to use the OEM bumper because when we built the turbo kit, we actually didn't have the Featherlight bumper. So we have another project we're going to save the Featherlight bumper for. But this is where we're at with the cradle up top. So to fit the OEM bumper back up, it's a little bit different than the Featherlight bumper. But built this bar that goes around the top. It's going to have some tabs that go to the OEM mounting holes on the bumper. And then as you guys saw in the previous video, we've got these little bars. There's a lot of surface rust because the car was outside, so we're gonna have to clean all this up and paint it, which we're gonna do anyways. But that's for the fenders. There'll be another bar here that holds the headlight, and then that's kind of the cage for the top. And there'll be a little bit similar, something similar on the bottom, maybe not that goes all the way across, but probably just a couple bars that come out for the front bumper. But man, I gotta clean that rust off. So I'd planned to paint the front end anyways. We've just been trying to get all the fab work done to actually have time, or to actually pull it all off and then paint the whole thing. But car is getting there. And honestly, we put the stock bumper back on and the hood, and it looks so much better with the way that this grill is cut out. It actually fits perfect because that's how we mounted it. The turbo and the intercooler was for this bumper, so that's why everything fits up a lot better. But man, she is coming along. Look at that.
You okay?
Lift it?
Yeah, keep okay.
Exhaust back on. Did you turn the fuel pumps on?
Yeah, I didn't let them prime, so let's try that again.
I don't even hear them. Oh, there they are.
And I got the fighter switch up.
No. Now it's gonna be a piece of shit. I hate when That's a baddie right there. Good Lord. Alright guys, so hopefully you enjoyed some of the content picking up the car. I didn't film too much because we were just trying to knock it out real quick. And yeah, thank you guys for supporting CoyoteDirect.com. If you guys are kind of wondering how it works, a lot of the orders aren't really orders directly from the website. It's a lot of people kind of looking on the website and then they'll email me or message me, which is totally fine because that's really why I got into it. Was if you have something you want to do or you want to build this crazy build, message me and we'll see if we can kind of get everything together and then save you a little bit of money by ordering multiple things. Or if you need help, you're like, man, I don't know what injector to run or what fuel system to run, and this is how much power I'm going for, any of those things. Side note on Coyote Direct, every day we are adding new vendors. So like the other day, I added a lot of Ford Performance stuff finally, became a dealer for that. Some ARP stuff like bolts, wheel studs, all that good stuff.
added injector dynamics. So anything you can think of I could pretty much get for the most part. There's a few things I can't get still, but a lot of the stuff you can think of I can actually get, whether it's through me or I could try and get it through somebody else, try and help you out. But I really do appreciate everyone that's supported it so far and everyone that's purchased from me. And let's just keep growing it. So there is there's like 4 to 5 cars that I've really helped spec out, and they're gonna be done by the end of the year for sure. They should all be out running by fall sometime. But I will tell you, if you are in the Coyote game and you have a Gen 3, you should be very careful, because some of these cars are going to be straight nasty. There is some freaking killers that I'm helping put together, which is really exciting. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed us finishing up my car. So now let me kind of show you where the tank thing is at, because it's back at the house, and I'll kind of go over the things we have to do now, but the front end is completely done. We did decide to not use the Anderson Composites bumper. We decided to not use the Featherlight bumper because I really didn't want to cut a bunch of stuff out of that. So I ended up saving that for another project that I have coming in the near future. So that's just going to chill over there. We ended up using the stock bumper, which looks freaking killer. Obviously, because it's already wrapped, we would have had to wrap that one. But the cuts are literally perfect, because when we made this turbo kit, as I've talked about before, is we used the stock bumper. So yeah, if you guys are wondering, the intercooler is literally perfectly flat. It's the way they design these air-to-airs. That's why there's an angle to it, but it's actually perfectly flat. It's just the way that the cores are, they're angled. Anyways, I am so happy how this turned out. A couple things we ended up changing up. We ended up using the stock bumper. It's super secure. We also ended up doing some screamer pipes up top out of the wastegates. Super symmetrical. Shout out Streetcar Joe. But yeah, we ended up doing some screamer pipes. So whenever we get a hood, there's going to be the hole for the exhaust, and then 2 little holes for the dump tubes, which is going to be pretty badass. That should make for some really cool videos and pictures. But what's probably my favorite thing is that when I'm working on the car, I could literally unbolt the headlight, unbolt the bumper real fast, and then I can take this whole front piece off. It allows me a lot of access to the car, gets this bar out of the way, because if this bar was welded in, you would have these little tabs poking you the whole time you're working on the car. And these you have to have, because that's how you support the bumper, the fender, and the headlights. So really cool. Joe made these brackets. I can unbolt it, pull off the front. It gives me access to everything here. Then if I want to take off the turbo kit, I can just literally pop off the intercooler, pop off the radiator from underneath, because the other mounting points are underneath on those. Turbo, of course, is mounted on a Maven mount, which probably the thing I'm actually really excited about on my website is I have this DIY turbo kit section, and it sells like your CO2 fittings, the lines, the Maven mounts, things like that you kind of have to go to a few different websites for. So I'm really trying to finish that part up so you guys can build your own turbo kit like we did if you have somebody that can fabricate. But back to the car. So that's the front end. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Now you'll see it's starting to get some surface rust because it was outside. So that's obviously the next biggest thing, is we've got to get all this stuff out of here and get it painted. But a few things are going to change in the meantime. I know, you guys are like, dude, get this car out racing. Trust me, I want to be out racing just as much as you guys want to see it. It kills me not to be racing this car. But one thing, I've been super busy at the gym. That's where I work. I have a normal job. And then B, starting the website has taken up any of my extra free time that I really didn't have before. But it's something I like doing, so I'm going to continue to do it. So it gives me very little time to work on the car. Now, I'm going to start setting aside certain times during the days and on the weekends that I like strictly work on the car, like 4 hours. Like no matter what happens, I'm working on the car, don't care what else is going on. That way I can get a lot done on the car. It's hard to like work on the car, go run to the gym, do something, come back, work on it, you know, quote somebody, work on an invoice, things like that. It takes a lot of time. So I'm going to start setting aside specific times so I can provide you guys with content. And the biggest part is get my car done. So what's going to change? Well, a lot of people gave me shit about this manifold. And myself, my good buddy Colby, and Matt, BL Fab, we got together and we made the Sean's custom alloy billet manifold happen for my car. So, don't mind all that stuff. What the heck is that for? I don't know what that's for. So we got together, made this manifold happen for the car. Now what I wanted to do was get the car completely finished, go out, test it before I put the manifold on. But since I have to take all this stuff off to get it painted, I might as well put the manifold on. The reason why I was kind of holding off on the manifold was because we have to remake this charge pipe. But while everything's out, I can literally send the charge pipe off to get powder coated. I can get these Cerakoted to match. I can fix this little header piece that we had to, because we had to make an extension there, so we could send that header back, get it Cerakoted again. And then that way I can put it back together and everything will look pristine. Now, it sucks because it's going to add some time to the build. It's going to make me miss a few races. But I think in the end it'll be worth it, providing like the quality of car that I want. Because right now, to me, it looks like dog shit. I mean, it's got some badass parts on it, a lot of custom fab work. But to give this fab work, you know, its justice, I got to clean it up and paint it. So that's what's next. So here's the plan. I'll just give you guys a heads up. I don't want to give it all away because trust me, there is a lot that's actually going to be changed that I'm not telling you right now. But essentially, we're going to take the car back to Joe's. He's out of town this week. So next week, we'll take the car back to Joe's. We're going to pull the manifold, put the new one on, get some adapters for the fuel line so that the fuel system bolts up, and then we're going to remake the charge pipe. I already ordered all the piping for it, so we're going to remake the charge pipe, make that all line up, then bring the car back over here, pull it all apart, send that stuff off to get powder coated, Cerakoted, and I'll start cleaning up the engine bay and painting the engine bay so it all looks good. Before we take it to Joe's, because like I said, I think he's out of town for a week or so, I still have to put in my new Hughes billet bolt-together converter, which I am super excited to put in the car. That thing is a badass unit. So we're going to put that in, and we still got to fix the rear diff leak. So that gives me some stuff to do before Joe kind of does his thing with the charge pipe and the manifold. So yeah, that's literally what's next for the car. After that, we're going to race it, but I will warn you, there's going to be some time because this stuff takes a lot of time. And, you know, fab work's not easy, but hopefully Joe thinks he can knock it out in a weekend. It's not too bad. Honestly, this charge pipe, once we get the manifold on and line everything up, it shouldn't be too bad. So there is, I don't want to say too much. I always do that. But there is one massive change coming before this car will see the track. And it's going to happen around the time that we're changing the manifold and painting the front end. Something very massive to the car. It is going to change this car forever, but it will change this car for the better. Now, that's all I'm going to tell you. Anyways, now I want to update you on what the car is doing. So, car drives fine. It's literally starts right up. All the electrical issues from before are gone. It starts right up, idles like a normal car, drives around town like a normal car. But when you start to get on the gas just a little bit, or if you drive the car for like 8 to 10 minutes, but it's usually when you like get on the gas a little bit. You know, if you just kind of putt around town, it doesn't do anything. But when you start to get on the gas, the car throws a fuel injector open circuit code, and essentially all the injectors except like 1 or 2 shut off. So the car starts idling pretty rough, running like shit. And so, if you're new to this channel, the weird thing is I replaced this entire harness. It's all new. All new harness. Engine harness, the harness, all the harnesses are new. Literally, all the harnesses are new. The only thing I haven't changed is the PCM. But all the harnesses are new, so it's weird that that issue would come up. But it's also weird because it only happens when you kind of get on the gas. It's almost like the computer is searching for something, or because really, injector open circuit, you think there's a fault. Well, me and my buddy Danny literally took a voltmeter to all the plugs, all the harnesses, checked resistance, checked the grounds, everything checked out. It's so weird. And it's not that it does it intermittently, because if it was a ground, it'd probably be something intermittent on and off. It does it literally when you step on the gas. So it's too common for me to think that it's a ground, because if you have like a loose ground, you know, your battery will charge, then not charge. You know, you get some flashing lights, things like that. So to me, stuff would go on and off intermittently if it was a bad ground. But we checked literally every ground that I put on the car or that was on the car that's being used for the harness. We checked and we cannot figure it out. So we're still working through some issues on that. But in the meantime, the biggest thing is trying to get this manifold on, get the charge pipe made, and paint the front end. And I promise we'll figure out the electrical stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed all the progress on the Tangstang. It's crazy to see it all back together. It sucks that it's not ready to race quite yet, but it is finally cool that it is literally back together. It runs and it drives around. Now there's just some small issues we got to figure out, but it has taken a long time to get here. So backstory, car's been down since November, sent the engine off, RPG, redid the whole thing, got brand new engine. We did Frankenstein heads this time. Shout out JR Frankenstein. If you guys want these heads, hit me up. But we did Frankenstein heads, stock cams, lock the cams, all that good stuff. Then we switched to a Hughes Power Glide. We switched obviously to the straight axle on the back, whole new turbo kit, Force Inductions turbo, which I sell on my website. Not many people sell those. Usually have to go straight to Jose, but I literally have all the Force Induction turbos on my website. Did a Siley custom-made air-to-air intercooler, Chase Bay's radiator, and then literally Streetcar Joe fabbed this whole thing. So they don't make, you know, a lot of older cars, they make kits for these front ends. Joe chopped this front end off, made a custom tubed front end, put the Maven turbo mount on there, and then probably, you know, it took a while, but finally got it back to Joe's, and then he made the whole front bumper support. And this thing is freaking solid. It's not going anywhere. So I am super proud of this build. It's really cool to have a car like this, and super thankful for all the companies that have helped me, and very, very thankful for Streetcar Joe and all the badass custom fab work he's done and just all the guidance he's given me on everything. But now we got to take this thing to the next level. So pretty much when this car comes out, I want it to come out and no one be able to even compete with it. So we're going to get that manifold on. We're going to create a new charge pipe for it. We're going to clean some stuff up. We're going to get it all painted, and we're going to get back to racing. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, check out coyotedirect.com. Shoot me an email if you need help. David@coyotedirect.com. I'll see you guys on the next one.